Discover the 7 sinister secrets of a cursed motel, terrifying encounters revealed. Ava had no idea what she was walking into when she pulled off Highway 66, the sign flickering overhead. The Somber Nest didn't seem like much, its neon glow more sickly than welcoming. Exhausted from long shifts at the diner, she just wanted a safe place for her kids. But as they entered their cramped room, she could feel the walls breathe. Shadows twisted unnaturally, curls of darkness flicking across the faded wallpaper. It felt wrong, yet she pressed on, determined to make it home for her kids. On that first night, as the wind howled outside and the motel creaked like an old ship, the air grew thick with whispers. A chill crawled up Ava's spine, but she shrugged it off, convincing herself it was just exhaustion. She tucked her son, Jamie, and daughter, Natalie, into their beds, their soft breaths a reminder of what was worth fighting for. But when the tapping began, soft at first, like a pet's claw against the window, discomfort slithered through her veins. Was it the wind? Or something far worse? As the shadows coiled tighter, Ava couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched. The flickering lights buzzed nervously, each pop like a warning that something sinister lurked just beyond the threshold. She vowed to protect her children, even as her instincts screamed to leave. Driven by fear, she dug deeper into the town's web of secrets and discovered stories of faces forgotten, swallowed whole by the motel's hunger. With every room she wandered past, she felt the weight of their quiet stories, a horror she couldn't fully comprehend. The chilling discoveries made her heart race, men and women disappearing, their souls lingering like restless spirits. And through it all, the motel clerk smiled at her with unsettling charm, his eyes glinting with darkness. His laughter mingled with Natalie's innocent giggles, forcing a chill into Ava's bones. Was it her imagination, or did the air grow colder with each encounter? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As night plunged deeper into darkness, a loud thud echoed down the empty hallways, freezing Ava dead in her tracks. Was it footsteps? Or something else, something darker? A sense of dread enveloped her, wrapping around her like dry leaves in the wind. She had to get out now. The walls whispered warnings, the shadows thickening, begging her to flee. But the motel, with its sinister grip, wouldn't let them go so easily. Ava grabbed her children, fingers trembling against the doorknob, about to push it open. But the clerk's voice slithered behind them, leaving already? But you haven't seen everything this place has to offer. Panic struck deep. The door felt hotter under her hand, shadows pressed in closer, and she knew she had to run. Would they escape the clutches of the Somber Nest, or would its horrors claim them too? Ava's heart pounded like a jackhammer in her chest as she hesitated. Did she dare open the door? The voice of the clerk twisted around her like a noose, tightening as his laughter echoed in stark contrast to her children's soft whimpers. Jamie clung to her leg, his wide eyes reflecting sheer panic. Natalie, sensing the change in the air, had ceased her playful giggles. "Mommy?" Jamie whispered, gripping her tighter. She felt the warmth of his small body against her leg. It ignited a fire within her. "What's happening?" "It's okay, baby. Just hold on tight," she managed to say, her voice trembling. But inside, her mind raced. Her instincts screamed at her to leave. The dread loomed like a dark cloud over them. The tapping had grown louder, transforming from delicate claws to angry fists pounding against the window. The shadows around her pulsed, alive with menace. With a deep breath, she twisted the doorknob. It resisted, a sudden chill rushing past her as if the very air sought to keep them confined. Please, she turned the knob again, desperation fueling her as she pushed her weight against the door. Suddenly, it flung open. She was met with the motel's desolate hall, stretching out like an abyss. "Run!" Ava shouted, grabbing Jamie's tiny hand and coaxing Natalie out of the room. They sprinted down the hallway, plastered with yellowing wallpaper that seemed to peel away under the weight of their terrified breaths. Flickering lights swayed overhead, casting grotesque shadows that danced maliciously. They raced past room after room, each door an ominous promise, whispering secrets she didn't want to know. A faint cry echoed from one of the rooms, a sorrowful wail that made Ava's blood run cold. She dared a glance over her shoulder. The clerk stood at their door, a dark silhouette framed by the dim light, a warped smile stretching across his face. "Where are you going? The night is just beginning," he called after them, his voice merging with the wind, making it hard to tell where one sound ended, and the next began. "Faster!" Ava urged. The motel felt alive, the very walls seeming to sway and breathe around them. The end of the hall loomed, the exit sign flickering like a heartbeat. Hope surged, she could feel it within grasp. Suddenly, a loud crash startled them. A door burst open behind them, and a figure staggered into view. A woman, eyes wild and pleading, her shirt torn and dirty, blood seeping from a cut on her forehead. She reached out, fingers grasping for breath, a desperate plea etched on her face. "Help me!" she cried, but her voice turned into a terrified scream as the shadows behind her seemed to stretch and surge. "Stop!" Ava yelled, skirting around the woman, not stopping to help. Something primal urged her to flee, and she could feel Jamie tugging her hand, urging her forward. They dashed past the chaos, the motel closing in around them. Ava was almost at the exit when the ground shook. A sudden crash, glass shattered, and she spun around, eyes wide with terror. The woman was gone, and in her place stood the clerk, a twisted grin plastered across his face. "You think you can leave? You're part of the nest now and no one escapes its embrace." With the exit in sight, Ava pushed forward, desperation fueled by a chilling resolve. They stumbled into the night, chill air wrapping around them as they ducked outside the door, but the stars above flickered, almost mocking. A shadow loomed just outside the edge of the parking lot, blending with the darkness. Was it something waiting for them? Or worse, had they just awakened something far worse? "Mommy, I'm scared." As she pulled her children to her, a realization hit: the night was only just beginning. What had they really left behind? Would the motel's secrets forever haunt them? With her heart in her throat, Ava felt the first tendrils of dread return, wrapping tight. There was no safe haven here. Something was coming for them, and in this silence, only the whispers could be heard, calling her back. A chill wind swept across the parking lot, biting at Ava's skin as she clutched her children close. The air felt heavy, thick with an unspoken threat. The stars above blinked like dull eyes, indifferent to their fear. Just beyond the flickering light of the motel sign, the dark mass shifted slightly. It was watching. "Mommy, please, let us go home." Natalie whimpered, burying her face into Ava's jacket. Jamie's tiny fingers dug painfully into her side, his breath quick and shallow. "Not yet," Ava urged, her voice low and fierce, though doubt gnawed at her confidence. She could feel the dark energy surrounding them. It was alive, writhing like a serpent. "We need to stay together." But the thought of running suddenly felt like a trap. The voice of the clerk echoed in her mind, "You're part of the nest now." Memories of the woman's bloodied face, twisted in terror, replayed relentlessly. Where had she gone? What had happened to her? They had escaped the room, but it felt like the horrors had followed. Ava glanced around the parking lot, a sinister stillness lying heavily upon the cracked concrete. Only the hum of an oppressive silence remained, punctuated by distant yelps of rage muffled by the void. Shadows moved, wavered. She squinted, trying to pierce the darkness, her heart racing. Then she saw it, a shape emerging from the shadows, more defined this time. Lean and grotesque, the figure shifted, limbs too long, moving like smoke caught in a breeze. It was tall, too tall, and it wore a wide-brimmed hat that obscured its face. "Mommy!" Jamie cried out, voice shrill. The figure turned its head slowly, almost with a mocking grace, and Ava felt her stomach drop. Beneath the hat, where a face should have been, was nothing but a dark, swirling void. "Run!" Ava shouted, and they bolted toward the road, feet pounding against the asphalt. They sprinted, legs burning, lungs gasping for air. With every heartbeat echoing in her ears, Ava felt a surge of desperation. Behind them, the laughter echoed, it danced around them, chasing like a wild animal. The shadows lingered, stretching ahead, enfolding them in a sinister embrace. Up ahead, a bright spot, a gas station, glowed like a beacon. They could make it. Just a little farther. But as they dashed towards it, the shadows twisted and lunged, spilling from the motel, a living, breathing horror. "Mommy, I can't." Jamie sobbed, stumbling. Ava felt the world fragment around her. The gas station flickered, the shadows pulsed with their own heartbeat. "Hold on. We're almost there," she called, dragging Jamie beside her, pulling Natalie along as tears streamed down the little girl's face. The gas station loomed closer, but then a figure emerged from behind it, stepping into the harsh light. The clerk, still grinning that distorted grin, eyes glinting in the shadows. "Where do you think you're going?" he taunted, stepping forward. Before Ava could think, she yanked her kids toward an alleyway beside the station, a narrow space lined with tall trash bins. They ducked behind one, forcing their bodies to meld into the darkness. The clerk's voice rang out, overlaid with the unsettling fear of something even darker lurking nearby. "You'll never leave. It's what you deserve." Ava pressed her palm over Jamie's mouth, stifling his whimpers. They remained silent, hearts racing like a wild stampede. Was that a shadow moving closer? Were they truly hidden? Time stretched in the dark, breaths mingling with the rising fear as the whispers returned, curling around them like smoke, taunting and luring. But Ava fought back. She couldn't let her children fall victim to this nightmare. They had to find a way out. Then, a memory surfaced. In the room, a single phrase had been scrawled on the wall. "Don't let them in." But what if it wasn't just about letting something in? What if they needed to leave something behind as well? A chill settled deeper in her bones. In the shadows, something stirred again, putting thoughts in her head, darkening her heart. If they were to survive, they must confront the curse that held the motel hostage. A sudden noise set her teeth on edge, snapping fingers, mocking laughter. They weren't alone. This was only the beginning. What awaited them in the dark? Would the truth of the nest be their salvation or their doom? Ava held her breath, every muscle tense as the laughter echoed around them. It was a cruel sound, like a chorus of phantoms taunting her from within the shadows. She dared not move, clutching her children closer, the raw fear radiating off their small bodies, feeding into her own dread. The darkness seemed to pulse with a life of its own, but each second spent crouched behind the trash bins felt like an eternity. "Mommy, what's happening?" Jamie whispered, his eyes wide and glistening with tears. "I don't know, honey. We just need to be quiet," Ava replied, her voice a shaky whisper. She could feel the shadows crawling just outside their hiding spot, slithering, searching. The snapping fingers grew louder, a rhythmic dance in the night. A deafening thud broke the stillness. Her heart seized in her chest. The shadows had moved closer. The clerk's voice warped into something jagged, like jagged shards cutting through the air. "Hiding won't save you," he teased, the malice unmistakable. "The nest is everywhere." Ava felt a pull, dread washing over her. What if the motel had more secrets buried? What if it fed on fear, drawing them ever deeper into its twisted embrace? A vision of the woman they had seen in the room crossed her mind. The way she twisted in agony, trapped between realms. The laughter abruptly stopped, plunging everything into a suffocating silence. Ava's heart thumped violently against her ribs as she strained to listen, every nerve ending on alert. She whispered, "Stay close to me. Footsteps shuffled, heavy and unsteady, directly toward them. The shadows stirred, gathering like a storm cloud, blocking the scant light. A flicker of movement caught Ava's eye, a silhouette bent low, peering into the darkness with an insatiable hunger. "Time to come out and play," it hissed, voice slippery like oil. The figure began to move slowly, circling their hiding place, intentionally dragging the moment, savoring their fear. Ava's mind raced. She couldn't stay hidden anymore, the shadows were closing in. The thing knew they were here, and its delight in the chase was overwhelming. But what if leaving the alley wasn't a choice? How could she protect her children and find a way to break free? She gripped her kids' hands tighter. "On the count of 3, we run for the gas station," she whispered fiercely, a decision crystallizing within her. "We can make it." Just as she was about to count, a sudden warmth enveloped them, bright and blinding, subsuming the darkness in a wash of light. Ava blinked, stunned, as the shadows recoiled, murmuring gently, almost in pain. "What is it?" Natalie murmured, bewildered. Before Ava could respond, a figure stepped in, bright and vibrant, almost angelic against the oppressive gloom. "You mustn't stay here," it said, voice like silk and honey. "You're not safe." A voice emerged from the shadows, cold and threatening. "Don't listen to it. It's a trick." The clerk screeched, rage erupting as he lunged forward. With new command, the angelic figure extended its arms, and the light intensified. But the very ground began to rumble, fissures forming between them and the clerk. It was chaos, two realities collided within a heartbeat. A choice loomed large. Stay hidden or step into the light. Ava's heart raced. She had to trust her instincts. But who could she trust in this hellscape? "Mommy!" Jamie cried helplessly, his little body shaking. The shadows slashed through the light like blades, and just as Ava was about to make a decision, everything went still. Time paused. What was hidden in that darkness? What truths awaited if they chose to step into the light? And more pressing still, would they be safe? Or condemned to roam the nest forever? Ava held her breath, the weight of the moment suffocating, and prepared to find out. Ava's heart pounded like a war drum in her chest. The air shimmered, the choice before her like a gaping maw, and for an instant, the darkness curled back, exposing slivers of hope. "Mommy, I'm scared." Jamie whimpered, his fingers digging into her skin, anchoring her within this chaos. She could feel the cold sweat trickling down her back, the lump in her throat strangling her words. Suddenly, the light intensified, suffusing the alley with unnatural brilliance. It washed over them, casting out the shadows clinging to their ankles, but only for a heartbeat. The phantom laughter started again, a chorus lacerating her sanity, inciting the shadows to writhe and twist. "Run!" Ava screamed, propelled by instinct. She lunged, dragging her children with her as her feet hit the pavement, each step pounding against the infinite dread. The gas station shimmered in the distance like a distant star, tantalizing and cruel. The thick darkness surged, howling in anger as they bolted. Ava could hear it whispering, slithering just behind them, hungry for their fear. She risked a glance over her shoulder, catching the wispy forms of the shadows undulating, clawing at the light that still managed to cling to their escape. "Faster! Don't look back!" she urged, desperation coating her voice. The gas station was closer now, its neon glow pulsating, a beacon amid the encroaching dark. But then the ground shook violently beneath them, raw energy pulsating as fissures snaked across the pavement, each crack a reminder of how close the darkness was, how imminent their doom. The figure, the clerk, he was right there, erupting from the shadows, his face a mask of grotesque delight. "Oh, I like game time," he gurgled, a twisted mockery of laughter escaping his lips. His shadowy form shimmered as though constructed from shards of night. Ava's heart raced with paralyzing fear. Just ahead, a woman in a tattered uniform emerged from the gas station, eyes wide in disbelief. "Get inside. Now!" She screamed, urgency lacing her voice. Ava pulled Jamie and Natalie, their steps faltering as dread threatened to entrap them like flypaper. "We can't," she gasped, glancing back at the writhing darkness. "The shadows, they'll take us." The woman's eyes flared with understanding, determination. "You have to trust me. I know how to fight them. Please." Ava hesitated, the howling laughter growing louder, a wicked symphony that made her bones ache. The shadows brushed against her skin, tendrils of cold winding their way around her wrists, pulling her back. "Mommy!" Jamie cried, and in that moment, an unbreakable tether tied her to her children. She turned, taking the plunge. "Let us go." They dashed toward the door, but it slammed shut, locking them out. The woman was on the other side, pounding against the glass, her face a mask of terror. "Get away from the door." The shadows intensified, surging forward, a wave of darkness that threatened to swallow them whole. Ava pressed against the door, desperate to get to safety. "Open it!" she yelled, heart pounding. Suddenly, the clerk's voice emerged from the chaos, chilling and mocking. "You can't escape the nest. You're part of it now." Ava felt a shudder run through her body. What did he mean? Panic seeped deeper as the shadows closed in. The light around them flickered, and the warmth of safety felt like a distant memory. As the darkness enveloped them, a flicker of the angelic figure appeared again, flashing like a beacon. "You must choose," it cried, shimmering against the creeping dread. Ava's breath quickened as fear clawed at her. Step into the shadows or fight back with the light. Just as she prepared to make her choice, the ground beneath her feet crumbled, another crack splitting upward, echoing with haunting laughter. Would they be consumed or would they find a way out, a chance for escape? "Stay close," she commanded, holding her breath as everything began to spiral. Time seemed to stretch, the reality around them bending. What lay beyond the door for her and her children? And what would they face if they fell deeper into the nest's grasp? The moment lingered, heavy with uncertainty, and Ava realized this wasn't just about escape anymore. It was a fight for something much darker, something essential. Ava blinked, the world in front of her spiraling into a chaotic blur as the shadows closed around them. In that instant, she felt the warmth of the light ebbing away, stolen as if by a cruel thief. Jamie clung tighter, eyes wide and glistening with fear. Natalie's small hand trembled in hers, and Ava fought against the wave of despair rising in her throat. Just as the darkness threatened to consume them, a flicker of light pierced through the gloom. The angelic figure, radiant and ethereal, beckoned from the edge of the shadows. "The light!" it cried, voice ringing like chimes in a storm. "You must choose, Ava. Choose wisely." Each heartbeat felt like an eternity as Ava's mind raced. Trust the light? Or plunge deeper into the knotted embrace of the night? The shadows loomed closer, hissing whispers caressing her skin with a chilling breath. "Mommy!" Jamie's voice cut through the noise, a desperate plea that anchored her fleeting thoughts. Gritting her teeth against the rising terror, Ava yelled, toward the light. They surged forward, crashing against the embrace of Philomena, the woman from the gas station. She hurled the door open, revealing an interior dimly lit shelf stacked with oddments, a flickering fluorescent bulb that cast jagged shadows across the small room. "Get in. Hurry." Ava shoved Jamie and Natalie inside, barely making it through before Philomena slammed the door shut, the sound rattling with finality in the stillness. Shadows writhed against the glass, clawing, scraping, howling like banshees denied their meal. The air inside was thick and musty, the walls whispering secrets only the shadows could understand. "What is this place?" Ava gasped, chest heaving as she clutched her children close. "It's a sanctuary," Philomena replied, her voice steady despite the panic lurking in her eyes. "But it won't last long. The nest doesn't yield to comfort easily." Ava could feel the shadows thrumming against the door, relentless and insidious. "We can't stay here. They'll find us." she shouted, heart racing with dread. The laughter crept back, a gloating cacophony slinking around them. Philomena grabbed a flash of something from beneath the counter, a silver blade glinting ominously. "We fight," she said, voice steady like stone. "But you need to understand. The shadows feed on fear. If we let them in." Her eyes bore into Ava's, heavy with the weight of consequence. Ava's senses prickled. "What do you mean? What happens if we—" Before she could finish, the door shuddered violently, a deep growl rumbling as if the shadows had taken form and were ready to break through. Jamie whimpered, stepping back, while Natalie pressed against her side, eyes large and glistening. "Get away from the door!" Philomena yelled, brandishing the blade. "I need you to trust me." Raising the weapon, she approached the door, feet steady. With every beat of the unseen unrest outside, Ava felt her resolve pulling taut. There was no choice in this fight. They would either find light or be swallowed whole by the darkness surrounding them. Together, Philomena urged, her voice slicing through the cacophony. "On my mark, we face them." Behind the door, shadowy tendrils threaded into the space, whispering promises and threats. Ava swallowed, fear intertwining with determination. She felt the warmth of her children beside her, the flickering pulse of their hearts anchoring her in the tempest. "Now!" Philomena shouted, yanking the door open just as a surge of howling shadows crashed in, bringing a darkness that roared in triumph. Ava's breath hitched. What lay on the other side? Would they fight with every ounce of strength, or be devoured by the terror of the nest? As the shadows swirled, threatening to overwhelm them, Ava took a breath, ready to leap into the fray. But just as they stumbled forward, the lights flickered, and something even darker loomed ahead. "Not yet." A voice echoed, high and dreadful, making the air crackle with fear, and in that perfect moment of chaos, they faced the unknown. What horrors awaited them in the depths of the gas station? Would they be able to fight back and uncover the secrets of the nest? The door swung wide, an invitation to madness, and shadows poured in like a thick fog, swirling menacingly around them. Ava's heart pounded in her chest like a wild drum, the air electric with fear. Philomena leaped back, blade raised, eyes darting as the tendrils reached forward, whispering twisted thoughts, promises of despair. "Hold together!" Philomena commanded, but Ava felt her resolve begin to fray. The room spun, shadows flickering like a nightmarish movie reel. Each second felt like an eternity as she braced her children against her, their small bodies trembling against her side. "Mommy, I'm scared," Jamie whimpered, and her heart tore open wider. Before she could respond, billowing blackness surged forward, snatching the breath from her lungs. A figure emerged, hunched and sinister, eyes like burning coals boring into her very soul. It grinned, a leering smile that stretched unnaturally, revealing rows of jagged, hopeless teeth. "No, no, no!" Ava gasped as a primal instinct kicked in, pushing her towards the back of the room. But Philomena stepped forward, her silhouette stark against the engulfing shadows. "Your fear only fuels them," Philomena shouted as she swung the blade, slicing through the murk. The shadows shrieked, writhed, momentarily repelled. A semblance of sanity returned, but just as quickly, they regrouped with a ferocity that made Ava's spine chill. The shadows lunged, and suddenly they were swarmed, a frenzy of darkness licking at their heels. Ava tried to rally her courage. "We can't let them take us. Hold on." She felt Jamie's hand slip from hers, caught in a whirlpool of despair. "Jamie!" she cried, her voice raw, panic clawing at her throat. She lunged forward, grasping for her son, just as he was being yanked away by the shadowy creature. "No!" Ava screamed, adrenaline surging. With a primal roar, she charged into the chaos. She didn't know what she was doing, but the instinct to protect her children overwhelmed any rational thought. She shoved past Philomena, face to face with the dark figure, and swung her arms wildly, as if she could beat back the encroaching void. "Let him go." Ava's voice cracked, desperation rendering her almost feral. She yearned to reach out, to conquer the darkness with a mother's love. In that moment, the shadows hesitated, the malevolent thing recoiling momentarily, sensing the fierce spirit within her. "Use the light within you," Philomena shouted through the roar of darkness. Ava clutched at her heart, remembered the flickering hope of the angelic figure. "Jamie!" she bellowed, drawing everything she could from her core, every ounce of bravery pouring into her voice. The shadows recoiled slightly, and she felt Jamie's presence not lost, just hidden in the dark. In that flash of clarity, light exploded from her being, a beacon in the shadows. The darkness shrieked in agony, recoiling as if burned. The room illuminated, not with fluorescent light but with pure energy hope embodied. Shadows were forced back, slinking away like frightened children. But it was just a moment, a brief flicker of victory. Not enough. Philomena warned, determination etched on her face. "It won't hold them for long." Sibling wails echoed. Ava's heart raced, still tethered to her son. "Where are you, Jamie?" "Mommy, help!" came his voice, strained and throaty, the shadows clutching at him again. A wave of dread crashed over Ava. Fear threatened to wash away her light, but she couldn't succumb. She had to fight. Gathering her strength, Ava felt buoyed by the knowledge that the shadows fed on fear and despair. "Together!" she cried, glancing at Natalie and Philomena. The three of them formed a line, hearts and hopes intertwined. As the darkness surged once more, waiting for the slightest crack of weakness, Ava took a step forward, ready to confront the source of their terror. Something in the distance lurked, a presence beyond the dark veil still falling around them. But that terrifying figure was not just a harbinger of fear, it could be the key to salvation or total annihilation. "Do we dare?" whispered the chilling air, echoing the question as they prepared for what lay ahead. A moment of silence hung like a thick fog, wrapping them tightly. As the shadows hissed once more, the choice loomed before them: embrace the light and face the unknown or retreat back into the darkness. Without warning, the walls of the gas station began to warp, shadows creeping out from every corner. A whisper echoed deep within, "What will you sacrifice today?" Ava felt her resolve shatter like glass as the voice deepened. What would she truly do to save her children? The world was shifting and unraveling, and the only path forward seemed paved with terror. What lay beyond the veil of shadows, and who would they become if they dared? The shadows swirled, a tempest of terror closing in on them, and with a sudden gust, the ground beneath Ava shifted. She stumbled, the world tilting dangerously as the walls of the gas station splintered. A crack sliced through the air, and a deep rumble echoed like a heartbeat, pulsing with dread. "Hold on," Philomena urged, fighting against the darkness. There was no time. Ava's instinct propelled her. She glanced towards Jamie's voice, that tiny lifeline pulling her through the chaos. "I'm coming. I want to let you go." She pushed back against the onslaught, but the shadows writhed, grasping at her ankles, cold tendrils creeping up her legs. "Mommy, help!" Jamie's cry pierced through the thick murk, dragging her forward, and a surge of determination coursed through her veins. Philomena's blade arced through the dark, glinting in the brief flickers of light. "Ava! We need to bind together. Use your light." "Together!" Ava shouted, forcing herself to move, to summon every bit of courage, but the shadows weren't merely shadows. They shifted and morphed, formed into wretched faces, magnificent images of despair and sorrow, faces of those who had been lost. Tears streamed from their hollow eyes as they clawed at the air, moaning in agony. "Stay focused. Don't let them in," Philomena shouted, chopping at the shadows with her sword, but each strike seemed only to anger them further. In a moment of defiance, Ava raised her hands, feeling a warmth deep inside her, brighter than despair, igniting like a wildfire. She closed her eyes and remembered the angelic figure, feeling the edges of hope flare within her. "Jamie! Hold on!" She cried out again, the air vibrating with the power of her will. The shadows recoiled slightly at her shout. The air hummed, thick and electric. They hesitated, but just briefly enough for her to forge a path to her son. "Mommy." Jamie's voice was desperate, now mixed with fear. His tiny hand was visible between the dark tendrils, reaching for her. Ava lunged forward, her heart racing. "God, please." Behind her, the walls buckled, groaning as if alive, shadows licking hungrily at the edges of her vision. She felt a deep rumble in her gut as the ground quaked. Suddenly, Natalie cried out, her voice trembling, "This place, it's cursed." The revelations hit hard, sinking into her mind. Each word felt like jagged glass against her skin, bolstering the terror that already clawed at the edges of her sanity. "It preys on fear," Natalie whispered in disbelief, her eyes wide as she looked around. "Focus on the light. Find Jamie." Philomena yelled, urging them onward. Ava moved, everything else fading away. The darkness hissed, slashing at her, but with every sputter of his name, light pulsed harder in her chest. Beneath the choking weight of the shadows, she felt a tug of freedom. The shadows writhed, howling like a beast agitated. The light exploded from her, bursting forth as if the sun had cracked the sky. "Let go of him!" she roared. The shadowy claws surrounding Jamie recoiled, twisting and altering as she pushed her power outward. In that split moment, she collided with the essence of the darkness facing the true embodiment of fear. "Stand strong. We can drive them back," Philomena urged, slicing through the air, but the shadows were quick, swirling around her in a frenzy, whispering dark secrets that twisted Ava's heart. "You will lose them, no." Ava pressed against the shadow's heart, forcing light into her voice, then came a shift of violent pulse in the atmosphere. The light brightened and the darkness screamed. Ava felt it retreat, felt the contour of Jamie's hand slip back into hers, the warmth flooding her senses. "Mommy!" he cried, relief lacing his voice as he threw himself against her. But just as she embraced him, a howl echoed, deeper and more wrathful than before. It reverberated off the walls, shaking her resolve. Standing amidst the chaos, they looked around, breaths shallow, hearts racing, and there, in the corner, a shadow pulsed, coiling like a serpent, watching them with predatory eyes. "Do you dare face the truth?" it hissed. Ava's body trembled. It was far from over. Whatever this darkness was, it had more tricks up its sleeve. And they were just beginning to scratch the surface of the horror that lurked within. What awaited them next? Why was the gas station so alive with despair? She could almost taste the fear, thick and bitter, but they had come too far to turn back. As shadows lurked and whispers twisted ominously around them, the only choice remained: face this evil or succumb to it. What was this darkness, and what deeper terrors did it hide? Ava's breath came in ragged gasps as she clutched Jamie tighter. The shadow's gaze bore into her, a pair of dark voids filled with malice. "Do you dare face the truth?" it taunted, its voice slithering into her mind like poison. "Don't listen," Philomena shouted, swinging her sword, but the blade sliced through empty air as the darkness coiled back, laughing. Ava stumbled backward, dragging Jamie with her. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of anguished souls echoing within the gas station. "You will never escape," they shrieked, their voices intertwining with the howling wind that battered against the building's seams. "No!" Ava screamed, summoning her light once more. She felt the warmth surge through her. It pulsed in rhythm with her thundering heart. "Together!" Philomena's cry broke through the haze. Ava turned, and for a heartbeat, their eyes met. There was something unyielding in Philomena's stare, a fierce resolve that ignited something within Ava. "Together!" she echoed back, and they fell into alignment, pooling their energies, intertwining their lights into a bright beacon against the suffocating gloom. The shadows hissed, recoiling like cockroaches scattered by light. Yet the darkness was relentless, shifting and reassembling into grotesque forms. Faces of the lost and forgotten twisted to the surface, their mouths opened in silent screams, skin pallid and gaunt. "What more do you crave from us?" Ava shouted. "We're not afraid of you." Another howl pierced the air, but this time the shadows seemed to falter, split under the intensity of Ava's light. "Mommy," Jamie whispered, his voice a mix of awe and terror, his wide eyes reflecting the growing shine. "Focus on me," she urged him, ignoring the creeping dread that brewed in her stomach. "We don't leave each other, all right? We fight together." In that moment, the energy shifted around them. A cold breeze swept through, carrying with it a wretched, familiar scent of decay, of despair. A figure emerged from within the shadows, its body pulsating like smoke. "Such bravery," it sneered, voice oily and deep. "But you dive deeper into a well of despair each time you resist." Ava clenched her jaw, summoning the collective strength in her arms. "Show yourself," she yelled, her voice ringing with defiance. The figure's features materialized, revealing a humanoid form, genderless and grotesque, its skin an unnatural shade of gray. It smiled, a wide, toothy grin that sent shivers down her spine. "I am what remains, what you cannot save. I am the truth of every fear you hold." Ava's heart pounded violently, the shadows encroaching once more, their whispering growing into a frenzied roar. "You can't have us!" she screamed. With a sudden rush, Philomena swung her sword, and the light surged, illuminating the creature before them. For a brief moment, the darkness faltered, allowing Ava to see the depths of the horror that lay beneath, twisted memories clawing to the surface. Her mother's face, twisted in anguish, Jamie's laughter turned to screams. No! Not again! The memories threatened to swallow her whole, but she fought. Ava stepped forward, fueled by raw energy, her voice thundering, "You will not take us. We are more than fear." With a brilliant flash, she held out her hands, channeling every ounce of strength into that fork of light. "Feel it burn." The dark figure reeled back. "This isn't over." It screeched as the burning light began to fragment the shadows, but it vanished into the swirling darkness just as quickly. The gas station cracked around them, the echoes of terror drowning out clarity. Bits of debris rained down as figures laughed and shrieked in distant corners, pushing the group closer to the brink. In that moment, they stood together, surrounded by drifting whispers, unsure of what lay beyond the veil. "Are we safe?" Jamie asked. Philomena exchanged a worried look with Ava. "I don't know, but we have to find out." As they braced themselves, a rumble echoed from the depths, drawing nearer. Something was coming. The darkness began to pulse, throbbing like a heartbeat, and they felt it a sinking. Dread, a chilling realization. They hadn't just roused the shadows, they had awakened something larger, something more profound and terrifying than they ever imagined. What awaited them? Was it merely darkness or something far worse lurking beneath? The gas station trembled around them, a cacophony of crashing shadows and anguished whispers threatening to drown out their senses. Ava's heart raced as she clutched Jamie and Natalie, the weight of fear heavy on her chest. "Stay close," she shouted, feeling her resolve ignite into a burning flame. Philomena tightened her grip on the blade, her face set with fierce determination. "We have to confront it. We can't let it take hold." The very air crackled with tension as the shadows thickened, swirling like a storm around them. Suddenly, the darkness split, revealing a gaping maw that seemed to stretch into infinity. "You will never escape me." A haunting voice echoed, a malevolent amalgamation of every soul the nest had devoured. It twisted through time and space, wrapping around them like a suffocating shroud. Ava's breath caught in her throat. This was what the motel had intended all along, a portal, a bridge to pure despair. "No! We're not afraid," she shouted, her voice louder than the encroaching dark. Instinctively, she stepped forward, the warmth within her igniting the frigid air. Beside her, she could feel Philomena's strength emanating like a sun pulling them all forward. "Let us join our lights. Now." Together, they lifted their hands toward the swirling chaos, energy pooling in their palms, each heartbeat a reminder of what they fought for. In that brilliant moment, the gas station pulsed with illumination. Bursts of color exploded through the shadows, illuminating pained faces of those who had been trapped within the nest. "You think you can save them?" The voice snarled, but something within Ava pushed back. "We won't leave you behind," she cried, channeling every ounce of love and determination into the light, but the darkness retaliated, pressing against their beams, weaving through the cracks and squeezing tighter. "Feel our pain," it howled, attempting to smother them with desperation, an embodiment of every unresolved fear. Yet Ava pressed on, recalling Jamie and Natalie's innocent laughter, the warmth of their hugs, the glimmers of hope in their eyes. The light flickered, struggling against the looming shadows. "Don't let it win," Philomena roared, fearlessness igniting her blade. As she swung it forward, a radiant arc cut through the darkness, forcing it to shudder. "Follow me." Ava rallied, grabbing Philomena's arm, confidence surging within her like a clap of thunder. "Together, we are unstoppable." Their hands clasped tightly, laced with unfaltering conviction. Light erupted from them, flooding the gas station, blasting through the malevolence like a lighthouse against the night. Stars exploded overhead, bright dots piercing the veil of shadowy despair. "This is our moment," Ava yelled, and their combined light splintered the nest of darkness into shimmering threads, unraveling the hold it had over the gas station. With each pulse of illumination, the gas station began to shift, the anguished cries of lost souls melding into a chorus of newfound echoes, whispers transforming into joyful melodies, reverberating against the walls. Faces emerged briefly, smiling through their pain, as if thankful for liberation. But the creature, a manifestation of fear itself, still loomed within the heart of the darkness. It twisted and writhed, growing angrier, but now it was exposed. It thrashed, bellowing, "You will regret this." Its outcry seemed to drive closer to the pit, feeding off the shadows of resentment as it fought to regain its grip. "Never!" Ava shouted, her heart roaring with uncontrollable strength. "This ends now." They surged forward, hands still intertwined, overwhelming the creature with their blinding light. In one final burst of courage, Ava propelled herself forward, feeling the pull of Jamie and Natalie beside her. They cried out in unison, echoing their unity, "We're not afraid." The darkness quaked, that slick, oily presence struggling against their defiance. But Ava could see it faltering, disintegrating like smoke dissipating in light. In that moment, something broke within the gas station, a shattering sound that rang clearer than the whispers of fear. With a deafening roar, the shadow retched, collapsing in on itself and splintering into 1,000 pieces that scattered into the wind. The gas station breathed a sigh of relief, its oppressive weight replaced by a gentle warmth that washed over them. Ava's eyes shone with tears, overwhelmed with hope that finally replaced despair. One by one, the shadows retreated, their painful whispers carried away like echoes receding from the shore. The gas station, once a nest of horrors, now pulsated with warmth and kindness, welcoming in the dawn. As the sunlight poured through, leaving behind traces of darkness, Ava embraced Jamie and Natalie tightly. "We did it. You're safe," she wept, joy and disbelief battling within her. Philomena smiled through her exhaustion. "You showed incredible strength. Together, we can face anything." As the darkness dissolved under the new dawn, a sense of peace settled over them, an unbreakable bond forged in the silence that followed the chaos. The world outside had become something different, a promise instead of a prison. Together, they stepped outside, hand in hand, ushered into the light. No longer trapped in a nightmare, they emerged into a new world, forever changed yet forever free. And remember, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on these thrilling stories. Smash that like button now to help the algorithm find its way. Flood the comments section with your thoughts on this finale, every reaction counts. And don't wait even one more second to share this adventure with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. It's time for true fans to show their support.